Hello, this is Marcus Washington from MTC Media, wrapping it up here in Charlottesville. Virginia Tech ekes out a 75-74 win in a game that probably was a lot more offensive-centric than what we are used to in a Virginia Tech-Virginia game. The Hokies were led by Jaden Schutz, 18 points. Toby Lawal had 17. And for Virginia, probably as expected, Isaac McNeely had 19. Andrew Rohde had 12. And this game had some twists and turns. Felt like there were just stretches where both teams were better, clearly better than the other team. Every time Virginia Tech seemed to push things up, Virginia would push back. And even when Virginia Tech took their biggest lead, I believe it was by 13 in the second half, with 6:32 left, the Hokies were up by 13 points. And again, Virginia pushes back. They push back and have a chance at the end. We'll get to that in a second. Some of the other things that surprised me, if you combine the two teams, they were 19 for 44 from the three-point line. That is a pretty darn good percentage. Virginia Tech was 11 for 21, and Virginia was 8 for 23 from three. The free throw line ended up being a wash. Virginia Tech got there more. They had 23 free throw attempts where Virginia had 18, but both of them made 14 apiece. And the rebounding battle was won by Virginia Tech. Both teams had 6 offensive rebounds. As I said, Virginia Tech had 25 defensive rebounds, and Virginia had 24. That's how close this game was. That's why it's a one-point game, and you look into the box score, there's a lot of things that show you that this was a one-point game. It's just that Virginia fell on the bad end of it. When we take a look at who played well for Virginia Tech, it starts out with Jaden Schutz. He really started off, or Jaden Schutz, sorry. He really started off this game getting things established. He hit some threes. When they kind of came out on him, he went ahead, had a couple of good pocket passes inside. He stretched Virginia's defense. Everyone talks about the pack line and this and that. I don't care what your defensive philosophy is. If a team can really, really space you, and they have guys who can work within their system, it's just hard to guard. It's hard to guard. Obviously, Toby Lawal, his 17 points and 5 rebounds. He had 5 at halftime. He had 2 early fouls. He had 5 at halftime. He had 12 in the second half. Hit an important 3 in that stretch. And again, he kind of took over there. And I'm going to give a little bit of love to freshman Ben Hammond. Early on, he was asked to guard Isaac McNeely. So you're running around screens, pin down, staggers, the whole kit and caboodle, right? And he's doing that, and he has struggled offensively. We all know that. He has struggled on offense. But if you look at the under 4 timeout, they run their ATL. He gets it inside the wall finishes. And this is when Virginia was pushing back. That was a huge possession that he executed as a lead ball handler. And then, of course, a little bit later, they get to the end of the shot clock after Virginia had switched ball screen action, and he gets one-on-one with Blake Buchanan, and he's able to finish over top, which was also a big basket for the Hokies. And on the Virginia side, I mean, you're going to start out with Isaac McNeely, who, again, for everybody knows that you're going to have to deal with him all day. And his footwork is so good. How he uses screens are so good. How fast he reads what's happening while he is still off the ball is so good. And that's one thing that all these kids who fancy themselves as shooters, you better learn how to do that, because he is reading well before he gets the ball. And because of that, it looks like, oh my gosh, he knows exactly when to flare. Oh, he knows exactly when to curl. Well, that's not by accident. That's because he works at it. And that's what high IQ plus skill level can do for you. So he certainly played well. I thought that UVA got a terrific game out of Data Ames. He was engaged defensively. He's not going to be the greatest defender. But he was engaged defensively, finished the day with 11 points, had 4 fouls, was trying to defend, and an assist and a turnover. But this was sort of the things that he could get you. When he first came to Virginia, those were games like this was kind of what you were looking for night in, night out. We have not seen it night in, night out. He has fluctuated in and out the lineup. Rhodey was back today, but he didn't start. Elijah Saunders is still out, and judging by the post game with Ron Sanchez, it doesn't look like he's going to play the next game either. As Sanchez said, if there was a game tomorrow, he would not be able to play, so he doesn't expect for him to play on Monday. Obviously, anything with injuries is always time will tell, but I would trust if a coach is telling you that ahead of time, he's telling you that 2 and 3 days ahead of time, that certainly he knows that the situation probably will be that he will be out. So now we'll talk a little bit about the end of the game. Obviously, I thought that Sanchez, and he's not going to get the credit for this because they ended up losing. But I will say this. When you talk about specials with no timeout left, and you want to determine how well coached a team is, look how Virginia ended this game. That is a well-coached team. To be able to execute the specials down the stretch with no timeouts left, that's not an accident, guys. That's good coaching, that's preparation, that's having a good staff. You know, they were down 3 points when McNeely went to the line. I'm going to get you the exact time when he went to the line. He went to the line with 6 seconds left. Yes, they went to the line with 6 seconds left, right? Virginia has no timeouts. He makes the first, and everyone's thinking that they're going to miss the second on purpose. He makes the second. They immediately fouled the right guy. They put Poteet on the free throw line immediately. Again, there's no timeouts left. They immediately know who to foul with 5-point-something seconds left. They didn't let the clock run down. Guys weren't out of place where you don't get to the guy until it's 4 seconds left or 3 seconds left. They were where they were supposed to be and executed the way they were supposed to. They get 2 misses from Poteet with 5 seconds left, and then you cannot ask for more. You cannot ask for more. You get a layup on the other end. Rhodey had a layup on the other end. The backside was completely clear. Everything. He just missed the layup. That's all. He just missed the layup. But to me, that's not on the player. That happens. It's certainly not on the coaching staff because they executed down to that line. Like I said, Virginia Tech was up by 13 with over 6 left. And you have a layup to win the game at the end. And like I said, then you execute all your specials with no timeouts left. That's a well-coached team. That's a well-coached team. So you just can't cherry-pick the score and say, what's Sanchez doing? That's not the way you look at these things. Those guys, the coaches, showed you how well coached they are. The players being able to execute it shows you how engaged they are. It's just that you missed the layup. That's all it is, and that happens. That's part of basketball. That is part of basketball. So I thought that both teams represented themselves well, and the Hokies with this win, that's 2 in a row. They had just come off a win at Florida State. They get to 5-6 in the ACC. Virginia falls to 3-8 in the ACC. You will see me next. I'm trying to think on my calendar, where will I be next? I don't think it's Georgetown. I don't think it's Maryland, so it's probably George Washington or George Mason. You'll see me next. But you'll see me all next week at an arena near you. This is Marcus Washington, MTC Media.